Joining us now, Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett of House Transportation and Infrastructure and Macro Trends Advisor. He's a Wall Street pro. He's the founding partner of that firm, Mitch Roschelle. Okay, first to you, Congressman. It looks like they're going to move on a smaller highway transportation bill tonight. You know, the Democrats' civil war, it's getting nastier. It appears Speaker Pelosi may not have the votes to pass either bill. What do you say? Are they to blame for their own civil war?
Yes, ma'am, they are. They've given way to the far left Democrat socialist wing of the party, and when they continue to do that, they marginalize those that are caught in the middle. There's 50 or 75 Democrats that you would consider moderate, probably, and what they're doing is sacrificing them on the altar of this upcoming election, where in fact we will take the majority, and they know it, and they have to push through all their left-wing agenda before they can do anything. To call this a train wreck is like saying the Titanic it was a 12-foot boat that hit an ice cube. I mean, this thing is out of control. The Democrats are frustrated. I've talked to several. They know this is going to cost them their next election if they vote for it, and now they're just hoping for some time.
You know, Pelosi told ABC News she did have the votes, Mitch. You're good at watching how Wall Street accepts signals from Washington. Let's talk about things like this. Watch.
You said you have support of 95% of Democrats. The problem is you need 98 or 99% to pass the bills.
Let's not talk about numbers and dollars. Let's talk about values.
Okay, no. You have to talk about those numbers because they only have a net 3-vote margin. They need every vote. The messaging has been criticized as terrible, Mitch. First, Democrats in White House, they tried to sell it as human infrastructure. Then the $5.5 trillion costs zero. What do you say?
Well, it certainly doesn't cost zero, and it costs every single taxpayer, regardless of their income level. There's taxes on consumption like cigarettes and tobacco. There's going to be tax on gasoline. So there's a lot of regressive taxes in there. But the thing that really concerns me and should concern the electorate right now, the thing everybody's most concerned about is the economy, more specifically inflation. That affects everybody. And we're talking about runaway spending that is going to create more inflation. So, you know, values one thing. The values of America is to have a strong economy. And the speaker seems not to care about the economy. She just cares about an agenda.
Yeah, to Mitch's point, just quickly, I want to go through this. We're finding more Democrat oddities and waste in here, Congressman. $20 billion for rent support for victims of stalking or dating violence. $50 million for human versus wildlife encounters in national parks. Hundreds of billions of dollars for things like green vehicles and buildings. You know, $1.4 trillion more for government-run health care. Rashida Tlaib saying a vote for infrastructure is a betrayal. The poll numbers, again, we've got a new one from the Associated Press. Half the country disapproves of the president. Your reaction?
Well, you're leaving out the $400 billion in debt and the new IRS agents, the multi-million-dollar aspect of that. So it's a complete whitewash. It has nothing to do with infrastructure. This is complete social engineering from the far left. And in the middle of the road, folks get it. The far left gets it as well, and they know they're going to have one bite at this apple, and they got to have it this time. And if Speaker Pelosi had the vote, she would have passed it yesterday. In fact, she was supposed to pass it on Monday, and then she called it. And then she said Thursday's the deadline. As we said, it's Friday, and it's the longest Thursday in the history of the world. She doesn't have her vote. She clearly doesn't have her votes, and the middle of the road folks are struggling, and the far left is cheering because of what she's saying. And it's clearly she has abandoned mainstream America.
You know, let's watch the Democrats really do nasty name-calling of each other. And, Mitch, I'd like you to also take notice of the adult in the room talking about inflation, which is now running at the hottest since 1991, for more than 4% annualized. Watch this.
They haven't been legislators, most of them, for a very long period of time, and a lot of them have been activists. My car is older than quite a few of the progressives.
This was what Senator Manchin was saying 2 months ago. And so the question that we have is which senator are we negotiating with? Is this June Manchin? Is it September Manchin? Is it August Manchin? Will December Manchin be a different, you know, will this be a different senator that pops up?
The other they have is aspirational. We like to help everybody, and we need to look at that. The reason I asked for a pause, I'm still concerned about inflation. I'm still concerned.
You know, by the way, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema have told Democrats, Schumer, and the White House, they said $1.5 trillion since the summer. Your reaction to what you just heard, Mitch?
Well, inflation is the #1 issue, and we're about, Liz, to hit the holiday season. And there are some reports that regular gifts for the holidays could be up 20% year over year, with supply chain shortages around the world. So I think inflation is a huge issue. And the way that the Biden administration says that this will cost nothing is through this crazy notion of dynamic scoring, where they think that the economy will grow by 3.5% through 2031. The economy is not growing by anything like that if we have runaway inflation that's going to be here for a while. So, the math doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I think Joe Manchin is the adult in the room right now.
You know, Biden ran as a centrist congressman. He beat Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Now he's pushing the far left agenda with tax hikes on everyone that, as Mitch has pointed out, will not cover the spending. And we've got this. We've got the Democrat chair of House Budget, Congressman John Yormuth of Kentucky, saying $3.5 trillion is inconsequential. He's also saying we can just cancel our debt that we owe to China and that we can just print money. That would crash the dollar and trigger a geopolitical crisis. I'd like you to listen to Senator John Kennedy here. They want to tax the unrealized gains. Say if you inherit your parents' house, even if you don't sell it, you can owe a tax bill. Watch John Kennedy here.
This is going to affect millions and millions of middle-class Americans. It's going to maul the real estate market and the market for other long-term assets. And I guess the moral of the story is this is what happens. This is what happens when you have a president and a Treasury Secretary who are on a mission from God to please pink-haired wokers who carry around Ziploc bags of kale. This is what happens when you have a president and a secretary who want to tax, spend, and regulate America into neo-socialism.
I wonder how long kale would last in Ziploc bags. I'm just kidding. Congressman, your final word.
Well, I don't eat kale, but I'll tell you this. When my friend Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is educated in economics and public education, is their economic advisor, this is what we're getting. These folks have never hit a lick. They haven't heard the gun go off. You've got a president that isn't with it cognitively, and we're reaping the benefit of all that. And that's what's happening until we write this course, until we get control of the economic condition in our country. It's going to continue going downhill, and our inflation, that's exactly right. Our inflation is at an all-time high right now, and it's going to continue that way, and we're continuing to devalue our dollar by the runaway spending.
All right, Congressman Tim Burchett, Mitch Roschelle, thanks for joining us. It's good to see you.